Hello, the internet, and welcome back to the live stream. It is Friday, the 10th of July, 2020. 10 days into the month of July, and consequently 10 days into what's known as Julive. Now, you know what Julive is. You've seen it there on the intro. Every day for the month of July, every day for the month of July, we're going live on this channel on YouTube, specifically as part of this program. Julive began by Mr. Danny Black, although he likes to know himself as the Danny Black. I'm going to put a little link to his channel in the chat there, even though he's no longer taking part in Julive. You can just go over there and give him thanks for coming up with the concept. It's his idea. I don't want to ever get to the point where people think that I came up with this concept. Julive was not my idea. The logo that you saw there was Danny. This was all his doing. That's why I'm giving him props. Go and give him scope and go and say, feel the gives love. I'm sure he needs it. Tell him where you're coming from. Folks, today on the stream, we're going to do what we said we were going to do on the 10th. This is technically 5, although I think it's 6 now, days since the tower lockdown in Victoria, in Melbourne. Now, if you're not sure what we're talking about, here in Australia, in one particular state of the country, coronavirus is kicking off again, like big time. And so there's been a couple of situations, one of them being the border has been closed, like a huge border between two states, completely closed. The other thing is that they've locked down, or they had locked down. I'm not sure what the actual update is today, but they were going to lock down for 5 days minimum these towers, these high-rise towers, where there were known coronavirus outbreaks. Interestingly enough, the news is that not all the towers had an outbreak. One had about 45 confirmed cases, and this is like in a population of around about 3,000 per tower. But the other one had none, or one of the other ones had none. So we're going to dig into that. We're going to look into that. But if you are here for that content, we're going to get into that in a little while. So just chill. What I like to do on a live stream, because it's live, is engage the audience, say our hellos, have a good morning, and kind of cruise through this, and then we'll get into the depth of conversation. But first thing I need to do is hello to my chit chat. Now, who began this? Tim said, hello, Benon. Hello, Tim. I said, morning, Tim. Then we've got DJ Millsy from DLive. Hey, Benon, I wish I could stay, but I can't because I got to get to this bank. I got to get this bank account sorted and get some codeine for my shoulder. So he's having issues with his health at the moment. I'll hopefully see you in the DLive stream later on. Yeah, that's cool. I do, like I said, this is Julive, which is live every day on YouTube, but I also do daily content on DLive. So I'll be over on DLive for my regular show tonight, and then I'll be back here again the next day. Although I gotta tell you, it's very possible. How are we gonna word this? It's very possible that my Sunday DLive stream may not happen this week because I'm thinking, I know I'm doing it today, I'm doing a dry run of streaming from Steve Van. I'm going to do a stream to YouTube unlisted today after this stream. And if all goes accordingly, which I'm 99% confident that it will, I'm going to do the first streaming from Steve Van official here on YouTube. It's going to be YouTube first. That's going to take place on Sunday around about 1 p.m. And that means there will be no DLive stream that night because I'll be doing the YouTube stream. So I can't physically do 2 streams at once. And I know. You can restream, dude. I choose not to restream. I don't want to restream. I don't want to send my show from YouTube across to DLive and have my DLive audience wondering what the heck's going on, and vice versa. So one's got to take place of the other. So if everything goes well today, which I'm pretty confident it will, fingers crossed, I'm going to be doing the first streaming from Steve Van official on YouTube on Sunday at around about 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. So that means the Saturday stream will be the last stream for the week on DLive, and consequently, you know, a longer form cap game and chest and all that kind of stuff. So if you're interested in that, that's what's happening. Back up in the chat, I said, no sweat, Millsy, get that shizzle sorted. And Millsy said, yeah, I will hope your ribs or whatever it is gets better. We're going to address that as well. I've got a product here that I'm going to pick up today. I'm going to purchase today. Hopefully that helps me. Mindy says, hey guys, evening Mindy. It's 34 Celsius for me. Shit. It's cold, cold, cold here. We've actually had the cold, like, well, get ready, okay? It's not that cold, but we had 7 degrees Celsius. Hey Siri, what's 7 Celsius in Fahrenheit? (44.6 Fahrenheit. Now, that is cold in Australia for our winter. You might say, dude, that is not cold for winter. Well, yes, it is. In Australia, it's cold. So that happened, and I wore socks to bed the other night, and that never happens. So we got cold weather right now. I'm jealous of that 34 Celsius. Mindy asked, have you found a padded shirt yet suitable for your needs for surfing? Yes, I do. I have one up, and we'll get to that momentarily. It's from an Ocean and Earth, pretty reputable surfing company, and probably buy one today, actually. And then Tim says, hi, Mindy. Hey, Tim, how are you? Tim says, okay, this morning, thanks. Actually, oh shit, my chat just bumped. I'm actually out of bed for once, especially for the stream. Well, thanks, Tim. Cheers, my friend. Good to have you here out of bed. Although, if it's cold down there, get back in bed. Enjoy the warmth. Mindy, I've been doing pretty good. It's kind of slow at work lately, but I'm getting all my hours, so that's okay. Looking forward to the weekend. Yeah, because you just had a 3-day weekend last week, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and now you've been back Monday through Friday, and you're probably going to really appreciate those 2 days that are coming your way. She says, I think I may go to a local lake to swim and practice social distancing. I got something I want to ask, Mindy. There's very rarely anyone at this lake. It's the one I did a video of a few weeks ago, okay? Tim says, going for a swim would be nice. I could go to the beach here, but I'm too allergic to cold water. And where Tim is, it's a lot colder than what it is here. I can go out surfing and, I'll get numb feet and numb hands within 20 minutes, but where Tim is, it's a lot colder, right? A lot colder. Very, very hard to go swimming locally once you've lived in Queensland with warm waters year round. That's true. Up the north. So Australia is kind of funky. We got like a long stretch of coast which goes all the way from the north, all the way down south, and all the way around the bottom. In fact, the coast goes the whole way around the country. What a surprise. But down where Tim lives, wow, cold. Up in the Queensland area he's referencing, stays warm all year round. The water's that, yeah? Very, very amazing. I want to live up there. And they got cool animals, frogs and little geckos and skinks and stuff. Mindy says, so Queensland is the place to go. Totes, it really is. Yes, it is. Though in summer, you may not be able to swim further north you go due to stingers, poisonous jellyfish, and crocodiles. Can I just say, I 100% saw a Irukandji here. I 100% saw it. I didn't know what it was. Irukandji is the dangerous jellyfish, right? The real dangerous one. Probably could kill me. Definitely can kill a child, like an infant. It's like a to describe it would best be, do I have anything that looks... Well, it kind of looks a little like this Jack bottle, which I'm going to get for... I don't want to show you what that bottle is until tomorrow, because we're opening that tomorrow on the stream. If you can picture a little ditty liquor bottle, like a little ditty Jack Daniels bottle, it was about that big, and it was rectangular, and it had 4 off the bottom of the... I kind of need it. Okay, pretend this mouse is the bottle. Off the bottom here, there was a tentacle, another tentacle, and 4 tentacles, kind of like a rectangular tentacle, and the thing was sitting on top of it. And it was long, like about that long, but the thing is, it was purple. And I've done my research, and I have never seen. We did it on DLive. I'd never seen a purple Irukandji. I've never known them to be this far south, but definitely because it went right past me, and I was like, what? What the hell's that? And I looked at it, and I was like, okay, I'll remember that. It's like a rectangular tube with 4 tentacles. And then I came and researched it. It's like Irukandji. Down here? Easy. Still, South Queensland still gets stingers, but not so much. So maybe it just got blown in on a strong wind or a strong current or something. Good morning, Charlotte Rose in the house. And Gil's in the house. G'day, Gil. G'day, Charlotte. These 2 cheeses. I don't do cheeses so much on the YouTube, but every now and then, it feels good just to clunk the glass against the mic there. Good morning. Tim says, hello, babe. Now, I guess that's at Charlotte. Could be at Gil. I don't know. You guys are both in Victoria. Maybe you know each other. Just kidding. Charlotte Rose, I see the 3 thumbs down gang are back. They'll always be back. They stalk me. They watch me. They're interested in me. Nice to see you, 3 thumb gang. Love the new intro music. Thank you, Charlotte. Thank you. That's well, that's the music that's playing now. It's always been in the background, but I just ramped it up a little bit for the intro. Hey, Tim, by the way, Charlotte, you may be right. On iPad, it looks sad. Is that a sad face? It does look a little sad. But it has got a smile. But the eyes are a little bit... Because the eyes are closed, I think that's why that looks sad. Aero Gamer, hello to the givers, especially Ben on Tim, Charlotte Girl, and Mindy. Hello, Aero. Good to see you. Gil, on YouTube, any interaction with the stream helps get you rated. Thumbs down is good. I laugh every time someone does so. Helps the vid. I mean, we've been saying that forever. In fact, the people that are thumbing it down, they know this as well. So they're completely nuts because they know this as well. In fact, these are the people that turn the dislike and like ability off. So you can't see it on their videos. We know who it is, right? We know who these tools are. And they turn that shit off on their videos. And they come in here and they do it on mine. It's classic. It's classic. This vamped up music is good for the morning. I just grew a little bit tired of using that hip hop song for the opening of all my videos. I just grew tired of it. The only place you'll see that on my channel now is my From the Vault Friday. And the reason that's going to be that way is because I've got so many of those in the bank lined up, ready to go. And even still, when it comes time to make new ones of those, I'm going to continue to use the old format just so it's something that's the only thing that'll stay that way across my channel. Pretty cool. Very true. Gil, throwing their hate is actually a positive. And like I said, they know that. They know that. It's classic. It's classic. Tim, Mindy, an Olympic snowboarder drowned in Queensland a few days back while freediving in place I live. You know what I found interesting about that? And no disrespect to him or his family, but so many people on my Facebook feed were then coming forward saying, we were good mates. I knew that guy. He's a good guy. It's like, dude, I've never seen you once talk about him before. Like, I've never seen you mention this dude before, and suddenly you guys are good mates? Go back in your feed and show me all the times when you were hanging out. Show me all the photos of you and him together. And that wasn't just one person. That was about 3 people. Classic. I don't know why everyone wants to latch on to the death of someone like that. You know, it's like the guy died. Let him, like, what? Okay, so someone dies. What point is it for you putting up the link to the news report on your Facebook feed and then saying, and we were good friends? Like, I knew him so well. It's like, we don't care about that. And you're just now trying to garner a little bit of street cred off his death. If you were really good friends, why didn't you promote him while he was alive? Why didn't we see all these links about what he was doing? Why didn't we see all these accolades and these stories about him and you together while he was alive? Why did it take him dying for you to say, hey, we were good friends and look at this little report of his death? It's like, wow, okay, social media, huh? Okay, we're gonna just try to like profit off someone's death, even though you were friends? I don't know. Back up in the chat. Sorry, Gil, autocorrect issues. Error gamer. That's okay. Gil, I have a hater who thumbs down every video I do. After a while, I liked seeing it. I mean, this is the thing, Gil, as you know, and as I know, the more that these people do this, the more waiting they're doing, the more watching the stream they're doing, the more they're giving you that interaction. I really find it humorous because it's kind of like, it's like they're playing by the YouTube rules, but they think they're doing something detrimental to you. It's like, no, you're not. You're doing something beneficial to me. The only way it could be detrimental is if there was like, let's just say one video or one live stream got like 400,000 dislikes, right? Versus 7 likes. Let's just say an astronomical number, which was clearly a bot. Like they'd bought a bot, they'd bought dislikes, right? Let's just say that happened. At that point, probably YouTube would step in and they'd disable those bots. So again, they're playing in the YouTube ecosystem, trying to manipulate it. But what's happening is what they've spent money on is just coming back as nothing. So they've got to go and buy these dislikes, and then YouTube just go, well, that's clearly a bot, removed. So you've just thrown money away. It's the equivalent is those tools on DLive that donate to me. They donate to me to write hate comments because I've disabled a lot of wording, a lot of verbiage in my chat. You can't say these words. And so these guys, the only way you can say it is if you not super chat, if you drop a donation, because then you can get an opportunity to put the word in.
Money's too tight for steak.
Steak?
Morning gifts, morning chat. Happy Friday.
TKK 9090. Speaking of donations, thank you for the $10 morning chat. Thank you so much for the $10. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat and morning gives, morning chat. Happy Friday. Thank you very much, TKK. Much appreciated, dude. Much appreciated. So they'll donate and they'll put those hate words in the donation. So it'll be like, are you seriously dropping a donation just to drop the hate word in there? Like, that is a different level altogether. Altogether different level. And Gil says, when building YouTube, I'll take anything. Yeah, totes. Me too. Mindy, hey everyone, I stepped away for you to feed Peaches. Hope all is good. Mindy, I got to ask you something, and I'll get to that in a second. Tim, I believe only one tower is on lockdown now. The others are cleared, but there is one elsewhere that probably be locked down later. Okay, thank you for the update, Tim. When we get into the content, definitely we'll talk about that. I hope you have the information that we don't have. 1 p.m. your time is much more doable here for me in the States. And that's what's going to happen with the streaming from Steve Ann's. It's going to be 1 p.m., right? It has to be, because it's got to be daylight for me. DLive Benon, who has a DLive channel? Benon has a DLive channel. Have I promoted it? Not for a little while, folks. I popped it in the little chat there if you want to go and have a look at my DLive. Tim, you can get to the stingers down Culburra during hot summers with warm oceans. Well, this was only about a month ago, Tim. That's what's confusing. This happened about a month ago. There is generally 1 to 2 drownings at Palm Beach, Queensland every year. Possibly people near spearfishing or freediving. Gotcha. So there you go. That's the chat up to speed, folks. So I'll bring that up on the screen for everybody to see and play along with. But what I want to address before we move on a little further, on my DLive, not on my DLive, on my streaming from Steve Ann's streams, I'm going to need help from the givers. It's going to be like a little promo piece. Now, what's going to happen is when I'm driving and I'm showing you the town and we're chatting and this and that, and I got the Kansas on for the text to speech because I'm not going to be able to look at a screen. Well, it's going to be fun, right? We're going to be driving around. But then it's going to come a point when I pull over and say, okay, folks, well, that's west and it's kind of getting towards the time when the sun's kind of getting low in the sky. Should we pull over and set up for a drink and a sunset? Now, that point of setting up for a drink and a sunset is going to require me to do a little bit of tech swapping, getting chairs out, setting myself up, getting a light out, all this kind of crap. It's going to take about 10 minutes, I figured. I did a trial run about 6 months ago and I had a 5-minute bumper and it wasn't long enough. I was frantically running around. So it needs to be about a 10-minute section. Now, what I really want to do, and I'll do the first one, but I want to put up a 10-minute clip. So if I'm driving and I say, okay, we'll pull over here, I click the stream deck, it runs into a pre-recorded video, which takes up the full screen. And then I can take the camera off, take the mics off, and take the camera out, do all the stuff I've got to do to get outside. And by the time the 10-minute clip has run and expired, when you come back, you just see me sitting back with the light on and the view behind. And so what I want to do, I want to take from the givers. I want you guys to provide that 10-minute blurb or that 10-minute clip. Now, ideally, I was thinking it can be anything, but I would really like it to be scenery. And I kind of got excited when I saw yesterday when we finished this stream, we watched Mindy's Rain on the Roof soundscape and also Happy Canadian's drone flight. So what I was thinking would be really sick is if anybody, doesn't matter who, if anybody can do, if you don't want this as your content on your channel, I get it. Upload a video to YouTube, make it unlisted, and then just send me the link. Just make sure that the video goes for longer than 10 minutes. Make it go for 11 or 12 minutes. And what I'll do is I'll take that whole 12-minute segment and I'll bump it into a 10. It's going to literally be 10 minutes to the dot. So just make it go longer. And I'll put like a little display up and I'll put credit to whoever it is. And I'll say this is and I'll put a ticker at the bottom saying this is a this is the giver supplied food. I'll make it cool. I'll make it something that the viewer can clearly see. It's not me providing, it's the givers providing it. And I'll also have a Stream Deck command to run your, like I put my chat up in my link in the chat. I'll put a little link to your channel so that whilst it's rolling, the chat can say, oh, this is from, oh, there's the link, and click the link and go to their channel. So I'm going to do the first one today, and what I plan on doing, it's going to be nothing amazing because you've seen it plenty of times, but I'm going to just film the ocean. I'm going to film the ocean for 10 minutes. And that'll be kind of like a little test of that. Mindy, I really liked your Rain on the Roof one, but if you can do that again and close in on something, like at the point where you were and you can kind of see you moving around in the corner, I think that'd be distracting for this thing. But if you could sort of just, I don't know, maybe next time it rains or what, you're going to go to the lake, maybe just film the lake or whatever. I'll leave it up to you to decide. But I really like the concept of it being not me, because the thing is, on the IRL content, I'm going to be showing you Australia. I'm going to show you what's out there. So it makes sense that not only do I get to show you a bunch, but we also get to see what's else out there outside these down under continent, which doesn't exist, right? So that's the plan with that. Tim says, I was a building supervisor at Fitzroy, Collingwood, and Richmond high-rise estates. I know the problems there very, very well. Let's wait till we get to the content, Tim. Thanks for that, but let's wait till we get into the content. What a fun idea. That'd totally be fun. Yeah, cheers, Mindy. I think this is a good way to involve the givers. Also, and I do need the time. Like one day I'll try to I might even do a YouTube story at the time when I'm packing down and setting up for because it's a big change, right? And yeah. TKK, drone footage down at Cronulla Beach. Perfect. Whatever it is, just make it over 10 minutes so that I can trim it back. And audio-wise, you can do, if you want to do a little promo for your own video or whatever it is, I don't mind. But what I was thinking was soundscapes. But it doesn't have to be, right? It doesn't have to be soundscapes. You can do a vlog. If you want to say, hey, give some minutes, give me an opportunity to promote myself here for 10 minutes. So I'm TKK9090. I'm up in the Shire. Give some minutes from up there as well. I want to show you around a little bit, and you walk around Cronulla and whatever. I don't care what it is. I want you to be able to promote yourselves through my channel. And also, in a selfish way, that'll keep you interested while technically nothing's happening. Because at that 10-minute interval, I need that time to break down and tear down and set back up. But I don't want you to leave. So I could just put my head on the screen for 10 minutes and go, he's back there doing work right now. He's got to set everything up. Now I'm just going to talk to you for 10 minutes. Why don't we just count? Okay, 1, 2, 3. But that's boring, right? That's boring crap. So I would rather it be you guys that sort of fill that gap. And the promotion. Yeah, promotion is the way it's going to work. So folks, what I want to do here, I want to take slight pause and run my promo for my album, The Armageddon, for the month of July. I'm going to be hitting this hardcore. We're 10 days in now. I've run this 20 times, this video. We're going to hit this every single day for the month of July. This is where you can get my album for free. When we come back from that, we're going to talk a little bit of... Actually, you know what we should do? We should just do this quickly. Sorry. Let's do the padded rib guard first, because then we'll be able to come back into the actual meat of the content. So Mindy asked way before, have I found a... So this is basically this issue is going to be an ongoing issue for me with surfing. I've got, in one sense, I'm kind of lucky. I'm not overweight. I'm underweight. But on the other sense, for surfing, that's actually a bad thing because I got no padding here on my rib cage. It's basically just a thin bit of skin and then bone. And so when you push onto the surfboard constantly, you're constantly pushing pressure and making this. It's basically your RSI, repetitive strain injury, on your rib cage. The doctor confirmed nothing broken, nothing fractured, nothing like that. The little growth or the little, what does she call it? A mind bulge. I got a mind bulge down there. She said that's just trauma. That's you doing things repeatedly in the one area. And of course it is. Paddling, pushing up, standing up, laying down. So I've got to get a surfing vest that I'll wear underneath my wetsuit. And I found one here on the Ocean and Earth website. Let me show you what this looks like. Oops, I've gone the wrong button there. Let me go over here. I'll make this larger. We'll go a little bit larger here. It's called a Rib Guard Padded Long Sleeve Vest. It's affordable, $65. Padded lightweight neoprene foam chest panels. So that'd be the panels here. Now, where's my rib? I mean, it looks a little bit like, hopefully it covers everything. Padded lightweight neoprene foam chest panels, UPF 50 elastic soft. Let's read more. Padded lightweight neoprene foam chest panels helps cushion ribs against rib cage trauma, also known as surfer's knots. You see that? Surfer's knots. This is a kind of a pretty commonplace thing in surfing. Elastic soft foam filament thread, flat self-locking seams made from high quality. Okay, board short ankle loop. Okay, that's cool. So it keeps it tied down. Easily used under a lycra, a wetsuit vest, or spring suit, or full suits. There you go. Oh, they got heaps of different versions of this. I mean, that looks cool, right? That looks like what I need. That's what I'm going to get. I'm going to get that today, folks. That's what I'm going to grab today. That's how I'm going to hopefully mitigate this issue, because at the moment, if I went out surfing, I know that it would hurt. Well, it hurts now to push in, right? It hurts. I'm pushing in, it hurts. So that's going to be, that effect is me laying on the board. The pushing in is gravity. That's going to hurt. That's not going to fix the hurt, but it's going to dampen it, right? Zexity in the house. G'day, Zexity. How do you do, Zexity? So what we'll do here, folks, we'll take pause. We'll take the promo piece for the Armageddon. And when we come back, we'll get into the tower issue. So hold your comments for that if we've got any information. Tim, I know you've got some stuff. If Hendrik wakes up too, he's got information. I'm sure he's on the front line down there in Victoria, in Melbourne town. So folks, this is my new album. This video explains everything. I'll see you on the flip side.
Welcome back to the, no, not a slightly random daily song at all. This is not slightly random, and this is not a song. This is a video to explain to you the Armageddon and how you can get your own copy of the Armageddon. Now, what's the Armageddon? It's my latest release. You know, I've been talking about the music I make under the moniker of That's Well, we've been discussing the latest recording. It's been taking place for the last little while. I'm happy to announce that today is release day, July 1, 2020. Why have I chosen the date July 1st for the release here? No reason except that everything kind of moved towards that being the end point of the recording process. And I figured for the whole month of July, I could promote this album, getting it into your hands. I want to give it to you for free. That's the thing. I want to give you the album for free. So as of today, and right through the whole month of July, there will be a link that I'll make clear to you either in the description here or in the chat. This is the link for you to go to and to nab the album for free, completely for free. You can download those MP3s and go to town. But the reason I want to talk to you more in detail about that is because I also want you to be able to get your hands on a hard copy if you want it. Now, you may not want this. You may just want the songs, and that's cool. But if you do want a hard copy of the album, you're gonna have to buy it, and it's not like you're buying it off a shelf. I'm only gonna print the amount that people order. So from July 1, let's say through to July 30, right? That's the whole month. That's the order process. So if you put your order in anytime in July, that means you are getting a hard copy of the album, but it hasn't been made yet. At the end of July, I will snap that process off, and if you've ordered, we'll go on and get those printed, and then I'll ship them to you. Now, the cost will be very, very negligible. I'm not looking to make money here. I'm not a musician. I'm a live streamer. I create content. I enjoy making music, but that's not the point of this. The point of it is to have a bit of a laugh. The only reason I want to do the hard copy is because last time with the second umming, so many people wanted a hard copy, and I only had 20 made. So this time, I'm not making them until I know how many are wanted. So if you do want to nab a hard copy, go to that link, do all the things there. While you're there, grab the download. This here is not the album. This is mocked artwork. This is the cover of the album, but that is not the actual album. On the album, there are a bunch of songs.
There was a time when I tried to explain. It was very blunt, but on the right track. I smoked him hard after a bottle of Jack. And what I said I would never take back. But he took it the way that a schoolboy would.
Without going too deep into the details, I recorded everything. Guitars, bass, lead guitar, rhythm guitar, vocals. Now you know Duncan, Buzz Kingo. On certain tracks, he came down here and helped out, added his little bit to it as well. That's all listed on the liner notes in the artwork. Another reason why you'd want to get a hard copy. Having Duncan down here to help out with the music was so rad. It was so much fun. But he's not the only guest to appear on the album. Out here in the ocean, one day I was surfing with a South African guy who was holidaying in the next door house. And after a bit of chit-chatting, we got hanging out. And he kind of said, "Oh, just curiously, do you happen to have an instrument? I mean, I've been missing the guitar. I play a bit of guitar." He came in, we had a jam, we wrote a song. It's on the album. That all came from surfing right here, just random surfing with a stranger.
It's looking for the dream. Today we're gonna feel like never before. Number 3, tomorrow the same.
Also featured on the album is the handiwork of Lachlan Sheehan. Now Lachlan is the sound engineer with Tracer. He did a beautiful, beautiful job at polishing a turd. He didn't just polish a turd, he rubbed that thing until it shone like Jupiter in all of its glory. Does Jupiter shine? I don't know, but whatever Lachlan did, he made this stuff way better than what it was. Lockie, dude, thank you so much, man. Go and have a listen to this and tell me this doesn't sound audibly, sonically insane. Lockie, yeah! There's also a few cover songs in here. Now, you guys wanted me to do 4 Non-Blondes, so I did that. That's in there.
Sometimes when I'm lying in bed just to get it all out, what's in my head, and I'm feeling a little peculiar. And so I wake in the
There's also a Pink Floyd cover. There's also an Omnis cover, right? I covered one of my own songs. And the rest of that stuff is brand new material for you to enjoy. But that's not all. You know me and music. My favorite band is Ween. I love the band Ween. And so to make this release even more special, I recorded 20 covers of Ween songs, and it's on this album here. The point of me showing you that is, that's also for you as part of this package. When you download the album, The Armageddon, you get this as a bonus free disc. And if you order a hard copy of The Armageddon, you also get a hard copy of 10 more songs by Ween.
I don't know where you're coming from, but I wish you'd go away. And I don't know where you get your money from, but I wish I didn't have to be the one to pay, and I'm not sure how to say.
I've chosen to call it 10 more songs by Ween, but put 20 songs on there to be a little bit silly. But anyway, that's there for you as well. And I'll also throw in some Gives a Minute stickers for those hard copy orders. If you order a hard copy, you'll get some stickers. You'll get 3 things. You'll get the Armageddon, you'll get 10 more songs by Ween, you get a bunch of Gives a Minute stickers. I might even write a handwritten note on there for you as well. But you have to do it between now July 1 and July 30. After July 30, there will be no more orders. Whatever it is, the number that we have, the amount, is what we go on order. There'll be about a month delay between when they get manufactured and when I can ship them to you. So if you order any time between now and the end of July, I would expect you to receive your copy of the Armageddon in September. That'd be the earliest. I'd say August will be the production, then there'll be the mail out. I reckon September you'd get it. That's why there's the download link to grab the music right now if you want it. Don't come to me after July and say, I want the album, man. You won't be able to get it. You'll have to go to Spotify's and Apple Music and all that place to buy it. This is the 1 month of opportunity. It's July, the opportunity month. Is that enough promo? I don't know about doing promo for my own music. There it is. I promoted my own music. Now look, while I sit down and take a listen to both the Armageddon and 10 more songs by Ween, you guys can go back to the live stream. This is not a Slightly Random Daily Song. Just go back to the live stream. I'll see you there.
Oh shit! Sorry folks, you caught me. Whoopsie! There you go, that's the Armageddon, and again, the link in the chit chat there is how you can nab it for free. Download it for the month of July, the album, the Armageddon, plus the 10 more songs by Ween, 20 songs in totes. Also, Zexy, will you send it to the UK? Yes, the $15 for the hard copy will get it sent anywhere, wherever you are. So, for sure. There you go. That's what I wanted to let you know of. And that, again, that's going to be promoted throughout the whole month of July. So if you're interested and you're getting sick of me, it's going to be here for the whole month of July. And then at the end of that month, end of this month, we're not going to talk about it anymore. So I'm just doing this for 1 month. Up to the 31st of July, and then bam, you won't hear me talk about the Armageddon until it gets printed and gets mailed out. Also, in that mail out, I'll include some Gives a Minute stickers. I'll even sign the cover. Duncan will sign it as well. And we will also, I'll put a little handwritten note on the back of a sticker just thanking you. Although, I've got to tell you, my handwriting is pretty woeful. That's why I do everything in the digital space, because I can't write. My hand gets all... Since like grade 9, my hand was always sore from writing, and it's never healed up. So I'm not very good at writing, but let me just tell you, there'll be something scrawled on there. Folks, let's get into the content though. The COVID-19 situation in Victoria is popping off. Now what we've got here, two things. The border closing between Victoria and New South Wales. That's a big thing. That hasn't happened since 1912, apparently, in this country. The other big thing is they locked down towers. Now, these towers are what they considered public housing, community housing, free housing for the underprivileged. And these towers are, no one's linking this together, but the population that spreads in these towers is of a certain demographic, let's say. And this demographic was very vocal in protests of recent times. I'm not going to go ahead and cause aspersions, or I'm not going to go ahead and get political, but this is the facts, right? This all popped off in what they're calling the second wave, or the media is not calling it the second wave because they're too scared to. But this has popped off because of these protests. So all of a sudden, social distancing was out the window. Nobody cared about it, and they were all protesting together in large numbers, in close proximity. So of course this popped off again. Everybody was saying, "Aren't you concerned about social distancing? You're going to do these protests, aren't you?" Nah, this is more important. Well, what happened then? The numbers escalated, as we knew they would, and here we are, mandatory stay at home no matter what for these. I think there was 6 towers in totes, six public housing towers in 2 different suburbs. And the idea was that you do not leave your home for any reason. You're quarantine in your apartment, in that building for 5 days. We will bring you food. We will bring you water. We will bring you, I guess that's it. That's all you need, right? Food and water to live for 5 full days. And these towers are guarded by cops, armed police around the towers, making sure you do not leave. Now, when we talk about this, or when we spoke about this on the stream 5 days ago now, I was speculating that this won't go down so well. There will be riots, there'll be violence, right? No one wants to be forced to do something as hardcore as that. Given that, you know, we already know these communities were very keen on protesting to begin with. So I thought, and I'm happy that I was proven wrong, but I thought that these people would be very, very concerned and there would be upsets and disputes and riots and whatnot. I don't think we heard anything like that. As we stand now on the 10th of July, I believe we are now the 6th day of mandatory lockdown for these buildings or these towers. And someone in Victoria confirmed, Tim, ideally yourself or Hendrik, if you're awake, he's still up from last night. I think that they've found that there's no corona in 3 of the towers, but there was 57 cases in one of the towers or something. I don't know the full facts. We do have some news reports to look at here. What I've got 4 separate reports we're going to be looking at. The first 2 are from kind of when this thing was announced, and then the last 2 are from yesterday. So the last 2 are going to be like the fallout from this or the result. But the first 2 is kind of like the preliminary discussion about what's going to happen, why it's going to happen, not just the tower lockdown, but also the border crossing, the border being controlled, closed basically. Again, I got to remind you, it's a big border, folks. We're talking a span of a couple of thousand kilometers. How you man a border that large, I don't know. There's several different roads that cross the border, several different bridges. There's bushland, obviously a hell of a lot of bushland. And they were talking about fines. If you cross that border, you're going to get fined. And it became very concerning for people in those communities because a lot of those communities on the borders are using both New South Wales and Victoria for their services because sometimes in certain areas you only have certain things. So these people were crossing over the borders like a daily, like we go to the store, they're crossing the border. It's not a big deal for them, right? Well, it is now because it's completely locked down. So I don't know how that's rolled out. I heard last they were talking about moving the border 100 kilometers north, which would mean, therefore, you don't have that split down the town level, right? The town. So it'd be kind of strange, right? And you might not know this, but the townships, often they're dual name towns. Like you've got like Albury and Wodonga. People call it Albury Wodonga, but it's actually 2 towns with a slash, and the slash is the border. So what they're talking about doing is not having the border there, shifting the border metaphorically 100 kilometers north. So Albury suddenly is in Victoria, and so is Wodonga. It's like it sounds crazy, but then your identity changes as well. It's like, well, I used to live in New South Wales, now I'm a Victorian. What the hell? Like, I know these are unprecedented times, but where we're at, we're seeing very, very strange suggestions. Moving a border 100 kilometers north. Could you imagine if they did that in Europe? Imagine if France and Belgium and Netherlands and Germany all have to shift their border. They'd be like, hell no, we fought for this shit. We're not moving the border. Anyway, we'll find out. Again, I don't pretend to have all the answers here. I'm not a news channel. This is important to be involved in, but I don't have the answers by any stretch. But we're going to have a look at what I suggested, these 2 reports from prior to this, and then 2 reports from last night, which is the most current I've seen. So let's go ahead and take a look over here. This is this one's called Coronavirus, Victoria's record single-day spike as the border shuts. So this is when it was popping. Tim says people wanting to cross the borders have been talking with Mexican people smugglers to find out how to cross the border, including a river. I mean, you're going to see all kinds, right? You're going to see all kinds.
Victoria's second wave has taken a frightening new turn on our darkest day since the pandemic began. Coronavirus has killed 2 more people as we recorded 127 new cases, a record single-day spike. The border with New South Wales will slam shut to millions of Victorians in a few hours.
Can I also just say that this border closing, now where I live, is considered like a tourist town, I suppose. Well, it's not. It certainly makes most of its money off tourism. But here, I've spotted Victorian license plates, Victorian registration plates on cars 2 times. They're holidaying here. So they either got in before this or they've come across after. I don't know how, but there's a caravan park. Adrian Banks stayed here. Caravan park up the street here. Trailer park. And I saw 2 Victorian license plates there. Tim says, high-rise tower drugs dealers have been speaking with the Colombian drug dealers to learn how to smuggle in drugs. Right.
While residents trapped in lockdown high-rises plead for food, support and freedom. Andrew Lunn begins tonight's coverage.
Crikey.
On the Premier's birthday, there was little to celebrate.
Sadly, it is my duty to inform you that a man in his 90s has passed away overnight.
That death and the death of a man in his 60s this morning took the state's COVID-19 death toll to 22, as Victoria notched up a record 127 new cases of coronavirus.
Clearly 127 is a big number and nobody wants to see it.
It prompted drastic action from New South Wales.
New South Wales and Victoria will be shutting down their borders from midnight tomorrow night.
I spoke with the Prime Minister, I spoke with Gladys. We agreed that this is the best thing to do at this time, out of a sense of caution.
It's heavy, isn't it?
Fenced in, 3,000 residents of the Flemington and North Melbourne public housing towers are entering their 3rd night of hard lockdown, and frustration is growing.
They said that they will provide everything, as well as those hardship payments, but there's no point giving us money if we can't leave to spend it and buy ourselves food.
Health authorities
That's
confirmed
true.
another 16 cases in the estates, taking the total number to 53, with the government still scrambling to implement its response.
I just want to assure all of our residents that we are doing absolutely everything that we can to both reach out and support people in this really difficult time.
With 3 cases reclassified, the
Tim says this border closing by New South Wales is just a scam to keep the Victorians out of their state. They never liked us Victorians anyway. I mean, I can assure you it's not a scam, dude. This town and many like it are going to die because of this lack of tourism, right?
state's total number of COVID-19 cases has risen to 2,660. 645 are currently active, 31 people are in hospital, 5 are in intensive care. 34 cases are linked to known outbreaks, 40 were identified through routine testing, and 53 cases are under investigation. None of today's new cases are returned travellers. One is a healthcare worker at the Royal Melbourne Hospital, another is from the Alfred. 2 are linked to abattoirs, one at the JBD facility in Brooklyn and one at Pacific Meats in Thomastown.
We will get this back under control.
The implication that the government has lost control was backed by a warning from
Wow.
the Chief Health Officer that current containment measures may not be enough.
We need to form a view over coming days as to whether that's a sufficient suppression of transmission.
The government's asked for more logistics help from the Australian Defence Force.
That sounded
and
like
they-
he was saying that they may have to step it up even harder, even more hardcore. Did I hear that correct? That the current suppression levels may need to be reassessed?
They also ask for federal police, but the Premier's warned that without help from households, the situation will likely get worse.
I can't do this on my own. A team of thousands of Victorians can't do it on their own. I need each of you to do the right thing.
Wow.
Otherwise, everyone is going to be back in their home in a lockdown. That's what's going to happen.
Wow.
Now,
That sounds like he's
Andrew's in
pleading.
Truganina tonight, there's been a big increase in a school cluster there. Andrew, will that have any impact on term 3?
Oh yes, Pete, another 14 cases have been confirmed at Al Taqwa College here, taking the total number of cases linked to the cluster at this school to 77.
Wait a sec. I thought this wasn't hitting school students. I thought the kids were fine. I thought it was okay to go to school. You hear me? Didn't we talk about this? I thought schools were fine.
Staff and students have been told to get tested and to isolate, but given today's overall figures, it raises some obvious questions about the possible return of remote learning. The government will clearly need to make a decision in the coming days. At this stage, it says the plan for term 3 is for classes to resume as normal. But as we've seen with this pandemic, things can change very quickly, and I'm told the government is bracing for another sizable increase in case numbers tomorrow. Pete?
Okay, thank you, Andrew.
They didn't mention the confirmed infected staff at the Sunshine or Northern Hospital. I mean, don't forget, Tim. This is preceding few days. So this isn't the most current report here. Al Taqwa is a Muslim school. That, I guess that doesn't really have anything to do with it. I don't think that has anything to do with it, unless you've got something to add to that, Tim. Aero Gamer, this was Sunday midweek. We got put in lockdown. Yes, exactly. That's right, and that's what your premier said. If I don't get the help that I'm needing from everybody, and everybody moving towards the right thing, we're going to go into lockdown. And then it happened midweek.
For the first time in 100 years, the Victoria-New South Wales border is about to be closed. Reid Butler's in Wodonga. Reid, Melburnians are barred from tonight.
And this guy's a strange looking dude, isn't he? I reckon this guy looks like an alien. But it's just this guy. I've seen this guy before on this channel, on this news report. It's just a confusing looking dude.
Closed. Reid Butler's in Wodonga. Reid, Melburnians are barred from tonight.
They are, Pete. From midnight tonight, anyone from the Greater Melbourne area will not be allowed to enter New South Wales. And then from midnight tomorrow, that same rule will extend to all Victorians. This is going to be an absolutely huge effort for authorities. There are 55 border crossings into New South Wales, and they'll all need to be monitored to make sure no one is coming in when they shouldn't. Right now, there are 2 active COVID-19 cases in Albury, Wodonga, and the big fear is that the outbreak we've experienced in Melbourne will seep into New South Wales. Because of those concerns, this drastic action was taken, and it took everyone by surprise.
Tim says it has to do with their religion and also beliefs of the government lying to them. What has? You think that they've got COVID because they don't believe that it's real? I mean, Tim, if you want to voice that concern, go ahead. I'm not sure I follow what you're saying though. You're saying that the Muslims don't believe in their government, and they don't believe, and their religion doesn't specify that COVID-19 exists, so therefore they're all spreading it. Is that what you're saying?
Blindsided by a border lockdown.
It's not ideal for us. We really rely on our Wodonga people.
The twin cities of Albury and Wodonga soon to be separated.
We're not used to that. We're used to a free country.
Putting a Berlin Wall up between the 2 cities is just not practical.
The New South Wales Premier said Victoria's growing community transmission left her no choice.
What's occurring in Victoria is a new phenomena in Australia. We don't want it to occur in New South Wales.
From midnight tonight, Melbourne residents will be locked out. From midnight tomorrow, no Victorians will be welcome north of the border.
Wow.
On the New South Wales side, so not sure how that's going to pan out.
The rest of the country has turned their back on Victoria because the government's failed to contain the outbreak of the coronavirus.
Not since the Spanish flu in 1919 have the border towns been split in half.
The community should not be disadvantaged by what happens in Melbourne.
To really have no detail, no really good clear guidance for our communities makes it pretty tough.
It's the same story further west along the Murray in Echuca Moama.
We just got to do as we're told. We've got to work through it as a community.
The surprise announcement also sparking confusion among Victorian holidaymakers touching down at Sydney Airport.
There was a few people asking whether they could get refunds on their tickets and so forth.
We don't know if we're going to get back or not. Might have to go to Northern Territory, via Northern Territory, I don't know.
New South Wales Police and Defence personnel will enforce the border closure, freeing up Victoria Police to try to contain the second wave. Victorian residents who need to travel for work or personal reasons can apply for a permit online through Service New South Wales.
3,000 trucks a night travel one way down the Hume Highway and 3,000 trucks the other way.
But be warned.
It's not going to happen now, is it? Tim says, sadly, the Muslims are less likely to follow lawful instructions. They also see it that if they catch it, it is the will of Allah. I have a number of Muslim friends I've spoken to about this. Okay. I didn't know that.
There will be delays.
Can I also please ask those communities for patience? It will take us 2 to 3 days to get the systems in place.
There are around 55 points of entry along the border, with 4 major road crossings as well as 33 bridges, 2 waterways and multiple smaller roads.
Someone could choose to swim across the river, walk through the bush. There are dirt tracks
We'll be using drones and other aerial surveillance at the same time.
Those busted trying to sneak in could be fined $11,000 or jailed for 6 months. And New South Wales authorities have flagged even harsher penalties.
We will be seeking some additional powers around on-the-spot fines, particularly for those who mislead New South Wales in their exemption application.
In Wodonga, Reid Butler, 9 News.
Pretty heavy, folks. Pretty heavy, right? That is heavy. That's heavy for Australia. I'll tell you what else is heavy. My heat is on too heavy here. I got to turn this thing down. Just give me 1 sec. Turn it off. Way too hot in here. Way too hot back here. Yeah, we haven't seen this kind of thing happen in Australia for a long time. Did they say how long this border is going to be shut for? I didn't quite hear that. Maybe I missed it, but I mean, a border closing where, as that gentleman said, 3,000 trucks go north on the Hume Highway, 3,000 trucks go south on the Hume Highway daily, bringing goods in and out, right? We don't have a river system like Germany where they send the ships on, and we don't have like a train system. I don't know why we don't use that, but it's all done on the roads in Australia. So how long is this going to be for? Mindy, the Muslim doctors I work with seem to be doing everything in their power, like myself, to try not to get it. Yeah. Their beliefs and behaviours were of great problem with the housing estates, both high-rise and broadacre. Okay. Tim, language barriers also create problems with people from non-English speaking countries. I think this is a global thing though, isn't it? It stretches across all different languages. Let's have a look at this second video from as this was popping. So again, this is a little bit older, this news, and then we're going to take the 2 up-to-date ones. Let's have a look at this. It looks like this.
With more than 50 interstate crossings, disruptions in border towns.
6 weeks proposed border closure. 6 weeks. That's the entire month, and then a little more on either side. She
will be immense. Nowhere more so than the twin cities of Albury in New South Wales and Wodonga in Victoria. A river is all that separates those communities. We have reporters on both sides of the border tonight. Liz Daniels in Albury and just a few hundred metres away, Reid Butler in Wodonga. First to Liz.
Great,
and
this guy
you
again.
have some breaking news, Liz.
We do, Georgie, and it's just what both premiers were trying to prevent. 2 people have tested positive to COVID-19 in this Albury-Wodonga community. One of them had recently travelled to Melbourne. More tests are being carried out to confirm the cases. But as a precaution, a pop-up clinic will be set up here tomorrow. As of midnight, Melburnians will not be able to cross this river.
Canada has had its borders closed to the US for months now, and I hope they stay that way, because if they open up their borders, they're going to have the same problem we do, close to the USA. Yeah, but the thing with that, Mindy, we've seen borders closed like that before between Canada and the States. This has never happened, well, 100 years ago, right? So this is huge for Australia. This is not like I'm not trying to downplay that situation. This is not 2 countries. This is the same country, internal borders. Given our inability to flatten the curve, Mindy, I assume the borders will remain closed for a while. Hey, Chad, how you going, man? I didn't even see you swing in. I see you up the top there. Hi, Chad. Thank you, man. Sorry, dude. I didn't see you come in. Right now, Canada doesn't have much of a problem. Yeah, I understand the point you're making, but just to see this in Australia, it's almost like the weirdness of this is like, it snowed in Sydney. It snowed at the Opera House, right? Just doesn't happen. Just doesn't happen. This shit doesn't go down in Australia, and here it is. Going down.
But you wouldn't know it. Reid is just on the other side of the bridge, and as you can see, not an officer in sight to enforce the border closure yet, Georgie.
Thank you, Liz. Let's go now.
Well, it hasn't happened yet, has it? This is sensationalist. It hasn't happened until midnight that night. So she just said not an officer in sight to enforce the closure because it hasn't happened yet.
Reid in Wodonga on the Victorian side of the border. And Reid, how are residents there reacting to news of the border closure?
Georgie, to be honest, they're very confused. This dramatic announcement took them all by surprise. So many of these border communities essentially...
Mindy says exactly. I completely agree, Ben. On none of our state-to-state borders are closed. I can't imagine that this has ever happened other than during the Civil War, maybe. Yeah, okay, so yeah. Has a bad pause on this gentleman. He's already a strange-looking character, and then I paused him. Looks like a cyborg there. Something about his eyes. Maybe it's just his. Maybe they've got like weird contact lenses or something in. His eyes just look strange.
Share an economy. Plenty of people live on one side of the Murray and then work on the other. So this border closure will be very, very tough for them. From midnight tomorrow, all Victorians will be barred from entering New South Wales, and bridges like this one will have police roadblocks in place. There are 55 crossings into New South Wales from Victoria, and all of those will need to be monitored. This is going to be a mammoth task. Georgie?
Reid Butler in Wodonga.
Wow, what is with this guy? Watch this. Watch his end expression.
This is going to be a mammoth task. Georgie?
There's something not right about this guy. He's having a laugh. He's having a laugh. Surely that's a wind up. Him and his mates are like, do that thing with your face, man, that looks kind of deathly. Surely this is a joke, right? This is him and his mates getting. They were like, oh, you're doing really well on the news, right? You're going to be a reporter, right? Yeah. When you get on, make sure it's like me doing this like just a slight. He's got to be having a laugh here. Look at that. He's glaring.
Reid Butler in Wodonga, thank you.
Glaring.
Well, Chris O'Keefe joins me now in the studio.
Sorry to take away from the severity, but when he's having a giggle, right? He's having a giggle with his friends. Surely.
Chris, for how long can we expect the border to be closed?
At least a month, Georgie. That's the expectation from senior levels of government anyway. Given the incubation period,
at least a month here.
It is the only safe way to ensure we don't import pre-symptomatic cases into New South Wales. Now, any reopening hinges on how quickly Victorians can limit the spread of this virus. In the meantime, police are looking at using drones to monitor the border, and they will have officers checking trucks to make sure there aren't any stowaways trying to get into the state too.
Tim says people who have come from countries with police, military and government corruption then come to Australia expect our authorities to be as corrupt. It makes them like we disregard our laws. Okay. TKK says he's on something. I don't know. I don't reckon he's on something. I reckon he knows he's got a sort of a strange expression he can do. And I reckon him and his friends have been like, yeah, dude, just don't do it as much as you used to when we do it with us, but do a little bit of it. Just like I said, I've got this thing where I can go, and my friends always giggle at it, like, do that face. It's like, and if I do a little bit of it, it's kind of like a little bit of a tease, like you can kind of get into it. I reckon that's what it is. I reckon him and his mates are like, yeah, just ham it up about 20% on at the end of your report, just do that thing, just do a slight one of it. We'll all see it. We'll get a laugh out of it. His eyes are open wide enough that you can see his entire iris. It's got to be a contact lens, surely. It's just so strange. So strange.
But this is a brave and necessary call by Gladys Berejiklian, but the Premier will now be holding her breath, Georgie, hoping Victorian cases aren't already here.
Indeed. Chris, thank you. Well, as we count down to the borders closing, there's been a rush on last-minute flights to and from New South Wales. Reporter Alice Monfries is at Sydney Airport. Alice, many passengers are tonight trying to make fresh travel arrangements.
Well, that's right, Georgie. It's been a mad rush for many to make it home in time. Some have been scrambling to rebook their flights. Others have chosen not to board planes because they're concerned about becoming stranded on the other side of the border. Now, before the pandemic hit, the Sydney to Melbourne flight path was the second busiest in the world. But from tomorrow...
The media are trying to beat up or exaggerate the whole story in order to create more views. Just watch A Current Affair as an example. I mean, I don't like those shows anyway, but I mean, we just saw a report. We literally saw a report where the presenter said, here at the border of Albury-Wodonga, not a single police car to be seen manning, not a single police officer here to be seen patrolling the border. It's like, that's because the shutdown is at midnight. You're there earlier in the evening doing a live cross to television. They're not there yet. It doesn't start until midnight. So, I mean, at that point, it's like sensationalist garbage. Buff. Hey, Buff. How you going, buddy? Do you have... This cheese is for you, my friend. Do you have mandatory mask policy in indoor areas in Australia? No, we do not. No. It has been discussed to become mandatory. Yeah, there's been talk of it, but it hasn't come out yet.
The only people who'll be travelling between these cities will be essential workers. So both Qantas and Virgin have slashed back their services. And from tomorrow, this airport, which is already eerily quiet here tonight for school holidays, will become even more of a ghost town, Georgie.
All right, Alice, thank you.
So that, folks, is the most not the most up to date. Those two reports were from when this thing popped, right? When this tower situation popped. I do have two other reports here that I want to look at from the more current. Where are we? From more current. This is from yesterday. So the confusion based around the lockdown is this one here. Let's take a look at this.
The first day of Melbourne's second lockdown has been marred by setbacks, confusion over police roadblocks, and 165 new COVID cases, sending the tally soaring. The Premier unable to shed light on a return to school, except to promise temperature testing when Term 3 starts. And there's been a small reprieve for lockdown tower tenants. Andrew Lund leads our coverage tonight.
Buff says, Tim, it's not the total number that are dangerous, it's the increase of numbers. If you show signs of exponential growth, you should be worried. Yeah. I think, I'm not sure of the growth numbers just recently, but certainly leading up to this lockdown, the numbers exponentially were growing, and that's very concerning. Chadsky, I feel like this is a great time to avoid flying anyway. Small space to be recirculating air with people that might not even know they're COVID positive. True. Not a great time to take a holiday if you don't need to, right?
Suburban roadblocks and quiet city streets. Melbourne woke to a new but familiar reality.
Everything is on the line here, and we need to make sure that we're all playing our part.
Today, Victoria recorded another 165 new cases.
I mean, there you go. Exponential growth right there. We've had a mandatory mask policy in Germany for a few months now, and it really doesn't bother me anymore, and I work in a grocery store next to my studies. See, the thing that we were hearing in Australia, and I think it's just recently changed, was you only wear a mask if you've tested positive to protect others. That's what we were hearing initially. Now, I think that may have changed where everyone wears a mask, but it's not mandatory. But the first message was only wear a mask. Mask is only necessary if you've tested positive. If you're not positive, if you haven't been tested and you have no symptoms, no need to wear a mask. But I think that's changed. Just like the idea of school children are safe, school is open, good, go to school. The message we were receiving was a very mixed message. It was, schools are open, do not send your children to school. The other message was, those who, the only reason you should leave your home is if you're an essential worker. There were 4 reasons. If you're an essential worker, if you're healthcare for someone in need, or fitness, or there was one other message, one other reason. I can't recall the fourth reason. But then the essential worker thing, the Prime Minister on a press conference literally said, someone said, "You say only essential workers are allowed to leave home. What is an essential worker?" And he said, in this time of need and in this time of despair, anybody with a job is considered an essential worker. Like, what the fuck does that mean? You've just gone and said only those essential workers are allowed to leave home. Anyone with a job is an essential worker. Schools are closed. Schools are open. Don't send your kids to school. You know what I'm saying? This was way back too. This was at the beginning, wave 1. Very confusing messages is what I'm trying to highlight there.
The second highest spike since the pandemic began. 9 have been reclassified, taking the state's total to 3,098. 932 cases are currently active, with 40 people in hospital, 9 in intensive care.
What is with this wobbling camera shake graphic thing?
I wouldn't expect that this is the peak. I absolutely keep my fingers crossed that it is.
Residents locked up in 9 public housing estates were sweating on today's numbers. There's 18 new cases. Since Saturday, 2,515 people have been tested, with a total of 158 returning a positive result.
The expectation is that there will be more cases. Obviously, we've tested a lot of people over the last 5 days, but there are still people who are going to be incubating.
This afternoon, 8 of the towers were cleared to return to stage 3 restrictions, but residents of the 33 Alfred Street estate in North Melbourne will face 14 days quarantine.
The assumption has got to be that everybody in that tower is a close contact of someone who is positive. They will need to remain in their flat, in their unit, except for medical care and for supervised daily exercise.
It's been very tough.
The wobbling camera shake is sensationalism. It's like to make it look like it's under a microscope or something, like it's moving. Like, This is the virus here on the graphic. Stupid, right? Mindy, very true, Chad. Personally, towards the end of August, I'm going to be flying to Las Vegas for a week worth of vacation, Zion National Park. I'm going to be taking extra precautions, wearing 2 different types of masks on top of each other with goggles. Wow, interesting. I hope that you can still get your vacation in, Mindy. I don't know. It sounds like they might, if it's popping off over there, maybe they'll restrict that. In reality, the potential to spread COVID in high-rise public housing is the same as any high-rise private apartment tower. Yeah? Seeing someone not wear a mask, this is Buff talking, is really outside of the norm here. At my workplace, we supply customers with masks. They come in without one. Although I enjoy breaks without one, I'm not really bothered. There you go.
And for some, it's going to continue to be tough.
The Altaqua College cluster has climbed to 113 with 6 new cases, while another has been linked to the Collins Street Hugo Boss store, taking that cluster to 8. 2 healthcare workers at the Royal Melbourne Hospital have tested positive, along with 2 healthcare workers
because you can make weird
at the
faces at
Sunshine
customers without them
Hospital
noticing.
Emergency Department, and a further staff member at the Northern Hospital in Epping, taking the total linked to
Public
that
housing does
cluster
not have
to
shared air
11.
conditioning as some private apartments do.
Spot fires, so to speak, in a number of health facilities.
Face masks at hospitals are now mandatory, and Victorians are being told to consider wearing them in other enclosed public settings.
Mask use broadly in the community, particularly where there are high rates of community transmission, is quite effective at reducing the spread.
See, what's happening here with these mask situation, folks? I gotta tell you, if they had said this from the start, if they had said, okay, everyone wear a mask wherever, just wear a mask, right? Where would we be at? If there were fines for not social distancing, if there were fines for going swimming, if there were fines for being in a park with more than 2 people, then they should have said there are fines for not wearing a mask, you fuckers, right? We have to deal with this. Wear a mask, otherwise you're getting a fine. I wonder where we'd be at that point. I got my fingers crossed for sure, says Mindy. You can also get away with doing sound effects with a mask on.
If you have to leave your home for any of those reasons for which it is permissible, and you are likely to find yourself in a situation where you cannot maintain 1.5 metres distance, it is advisable to be covering.
This guy, okay, listen to what he's saying. He's not 1.5 metres from this woman.
Your face with a mask.
You should be wearing a mask. Like it comes from the top down, right?
Home for any of those reasons for which it is permissible, and you are likely to find yourself in a situation where you cannot maintain 1.5 metres distance, it is advisable to be covering your face with a mask.
It is advisable to be covering your face with a mask. The message should be, wear a mask. We need to put this thing away.
6 more aged care facilities have been placed into lockdown after staff members tested positive. Menarock Life Aged Care in Essendon, Baptcare The Orchards Community in Doncaster, Benetas St George's in Altona Meadows, Blue Cross Ivanhoe, and the Aram Aged Care and Homewood Aged Care facilities in Healesville.
I can understand that many...
There's an aged care centre in Healesville? That's like an ice cream man called Cone.
People in Victoria will be feeling very frustrated at the moment, and many are very angry, and I'm aware of where they're directing that frustration and anger, but it won't help the situation if I were to engage in any of that.
National Cabinet will...
Actually, sorry, Buff, that's a good point, dude. I'd forgotten that. I'd forgotten about that. There was a shortage of masks. Yeah, sorry, I beg your pardon. I didn't consider that. There was a supply issue, for sure. Yeah, sorry, I forgot that.
Meet tomorrow with Victoria, a key concern.
I want to appeal to all Victorians. Let's keep working together.
And Andrew Lund joins me now. Andrew, the government's outlined some changes to school.
Hey, Robert in the house. Robert, hey, Benon, I see tourist attractions last month were allowing 100 people in shops and letting any number in. Yeah, true. Yeah, and here we are again. Excuse me. I just got a bit of the COVID. Here we are again, folks, talking about this, right? When are we going to just take it for real and say, okay, folks, shit's hit the fan. We need to fix this.
Yes, Pete, students at state schools in metropolitan Melbourne and the Mitchell Shire will be required to have their temperature taken every morning when
Why would children need their temperature taken if the directive we heard way back at the beginning was this does not affect children, schools are open? This just seems idiotic. Testing children. Who did that? Malik Blackbeard. Thanks for subscribing, Malik. We're live right now if you want to say good day. This just seems idiotic to me, right? This just seems idiotic. Before, children were not a problem. Send them all to school. Now they're getting tested. Why not just lock them down? Say no more children coming to school.
Term 3 resumes. Students with a temperature of 37.5 degrees or higher will be asked to return home and get themselves tested for coronavirus. 14,000 non-contact thermometers will be given out to state, Catholic and independent schools to allow the checks to proceed. There's still no word, though, on whether face-to-face learning will resume for non-VCE students after the extended school holidays. A decision on that is expected in the next few days. Pete?
Andrew Lund. Police have formed a border around the city, dividing it from the rest of the state as Melburnians woke to the first day of lockdown. But it was far from being the ring of steel promised, with some motorists cruising straight through. Lana Murphy has the latest.
Tim says one of Melbourne's Bayside piers was overcrowded yesterday with people watching a whale that came into the bay. I mean, yeah. Anybody here a marine biologist?
A state divided by blue and red lights. There's no escaping COVID, but those who leave lockdown are now
I mean, that's the point, Buff, isn't it? Really, you've hit it. You've hit it on the head there. It really is when you test a child with a fever, it's already too late because of the incubation period, and we've known about that. We've known that it's a 2-week period where you don't know if someone's got it. So, what's the point of taking the temperature? Exactly. Like, I feel like these are all like reactionary measures to me. They don't feel like they're precautionary measures. They're all reactionary measures.
confronted by this.
Mate, where'd you come from?
Port Melbourne. Fisherman's Bend.
That's a hot zone for COVID. Footscray.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, you need to stay away from there.
Hundreds of police are swarming the outskirts of the city, from Lang Lang to Longwarry to Coldstream and Gisborne, stopping motorists moving around the state, surfers and thrill seekers on their way to the coast among those sent packing.
We're travelling to the Yangs to go mountain biking. We're from the other side of Melbourne. We don't live in Melbourne, so we thought we could just travel through, but apparently not.
Others closer to the city were fined, and while some tried to bypass the 7 major traffic stops around the 32 lockdown municipalities, others didn't have to. In Seymour, there wasn't an officer in sight. In Lara, the checkpoint packed up during peak hour traffic, and on the Calder, motorists were simply waved through.
They've got all the roadblocks up, but nobody's home. So it seems if you go to Bendigo, you got no problems getting out.
The force maintains.
Chadsky says, here in the States, the schools close the same time as non-essential businesses. Yeah, at least in California. I remember when that was happening. It's like, how come, like our Prime Minister was saying, the schools are open. Do not send your kids to school. I mean, I've got to say that again. The schools are open. Do not send your kids to school. It was a mixed message at that point. Benon, a few schools in Melbourne have closed down for remote learning only. School holidays end this weekend, and year 11 and 12 are still to attend open schools. Younger classes have more than 1 week off. Not a closure though, is it? Robert Muller, but another point, why are they using the firefighters on the borders when they are closed? Couldn't they use the army? I'm not sure, Rob. I'm not sure why they've used, I mean, I guess they're using all the forces they can.
This was never going to be a solid ring of steel, more of a fluid operation. But on major arterials like the Princess Freeway, checkpoints just like this one will become a permanent fixture every day for the next 6 weeks. But on the first day of one of Victoria Police's largest operations, silence from the top brass, leaving it to local police to explain.
We'll be checking their identity, where they come from, what their business is, and the purpose of travel.
Officers patrolling within the lockdown borders, stopping cars in St Kilda and Moorabbin to check those travelling between suburbs.
This traffic's very heavy, it's out of the ordinary. This is totally different from when the first lockdown occurred. This is just normal everyday traffic, so people are still travelling to work by the looks.
And Lana's at the Gisborne South roadblock. Lana, police have been there all day.
Tens of thousands of commuters have come through this roadblock and the others around the state today, Pete. And we've just heard that 6 people have been fined today. At least 2 were arrested for trying to evade police. Now, Victoria Police has told me that number is expected to grow. They're just collating those numbers. The trick is that these roadblocks and checkpoints are rolling from this moment onwards for the next 6 weeks. So this literally will not stop. We're looking at a 4 o'clock shift now. These officers will go until midnight, and then the changeover will happen.
That's 4 p.m. in Victoria. You guys have shit weather down there, don't you?
Obviously all in a bid to stop the spread. You can see there is a line behind me built up of traffic. This runs for about 3 kilometres. These are all people trying to get out of Melbourne and into Gisborne, making that commute home. As we know, Gisborne is not in lockdown. And Pete, we'll see how tomorrow goes.
OK, thank you, Lana Murphy. Police are taking no chances on the water too, checking travellers on the Queenscliff to Sorrento ferry. Dougal Beattie's on board. Dougal, passengers are being questioned by officers.
Yeah, they certainly are, Pete. Police set up a checkpoint at Sorrento and they were asking drivers if they had a valid reason to be leaving an area under lockdown. There are about a dozen or so cars on the ferry this afternoon. No one was turned around there. I suppose there had been a little bit of concern that the route could have been used as a loophole. That doesn't seem to be the case. Sorrento is part of the lockdown Mornington Peninsula, while Queenscliff on the other side is outside that restricted zone. Now, the operator Sea Road Ferries has increased its hygiene procedures on board as part of its essential service, but the advice always is to check before you travel.
So we're working with police on people's valid reasons to travel, and obviously police are providing a presence on both peninsulas, and it's about whether people do have that valid reason to travel.
I am Zozo. Welcome to the stream. 72-hour wait on the Queensland border between Queensland and New South Wales. Crikey.
Now, according to the
That's heavy,
latest
dude.
health data, the Greater Geelong Council has 6 cases of coronavirus. Mornington Peninsula, which is under lockdown, has 0. Pete?
Dougal Beattie.
Interesting that one has a lockdown with 0 cases. Folks, this is the last one we're going to look at. This is also from yesterday. COVID-19, coronavirus, Melbourne in lockdown, SA border shut, New South Wales restrictions looming. Now, this is interesting. I was wondering when this was going to filter through to my state, New South Wales, where I live, but let's see.
More than 5 million Melburnians are back in lockdown right now. For many, last night was the last chance for last drinks until the 20th of August. Pubs, bars and restaurants all busy with patrons dining in one more time. Now, the owners of those restaurants and cafes face a bleak future, though, with some not sure about their fate.
The front line around the city is around 250 kilometres long, protected by rolling roadblocks and mobile patrols.
Buff says, I think it's a great sign for Australia that you take it this seriously with this rather small outbreak. I mean, given our numbers and our population numbers, this is not a small outbreak, given that we've seen smaller in wave 1, right? This is bigger than wave 1. So that's why the concern here, as you mentioned earlier, exponential growth. Yeah, we've got it. We've seen it. This was 6 p.m. She said the shift started at 4 p.m. Sunset is 5:15 p.m. Oh, Aero Gamer, okay. Sorry, you're defending the Melbourne weather. I thought she said this was a 4 p.m. She said this was a 4 p.m. shift. I just assumed she was there at 4 p.m. Sunset is 5:15. That was at 6:15. 6 p.m. Okay, gotcha. Fair enough. But you do have pretty shitty weather down there in Melbourne. You can't deny that.
But amid the gloominess, one police officer was bringing smiles to residents with a gesture to lift spirits. The lockdown is our top story, and Koshi has details right now.
Melbourne's Stage 3 lockdown has begun overnight with 5.2 million residents ordered to stay home. The tough restrictions apply to Melbourne's metropolitan councils plus the Mitchell Shire. It includes the Mornington Peninsula, but not Geelong.
Tim says the Mornington Peninsula may have 0 cases, but they do have that flesh-eating bacteria going around. I'd rather catch COVID. I don't know what you're talking about, dude. Flesh-eating bacteria?
Here are the latest figures in Victoria. 134 new cases recorded yesterday. There are 860 active cases. More than 1 million people have been tested for COVID-19. 22 people have died. These are Victoria's cases over the past week. There were less yesterday than on Tuesday, but it's way too early to tell if daily case numbers have peaked.
So 77 Thursday, 66 Friday. These are new cases. 108 the next day, 74, 127, 191, 134. Buff says, I'm just saying that there is a certain other first world countries that live in a fairy world. Right. And I guess that's the problem, right? We can do all we can here, but if we're not stopping flights coming in, then basically fighting a losing battle, right?
Stage 3 lockdown means staying at home at all times. There are only 4 reasons Melburnians can now go out. They are shopping for food and medicine, to take care of another person or be cared for.
Shopping for food. I mean, theoretically, if you wanted to play the system and you got pulled over, you could say, I'm going out to get food. Right? That covers it.
For or receive medical care. To go to work or school if that can't be done from home, and daily exercise. Melburnians can visit their intimate partner but can't have other visitors at their house. They must stay at their primary residence and cannot escape to holiday homes in regional
Bacteria
Victoria.
also have to eat. Just give some flesh, don't be
areas,
selfish.
Weddings are now restricted
Why
to
someone
5
think of the
people,
bacteria?
and only 10 people can attend funerals. Here's Sam.
A ring of steel surrounds Melbourne this morning as the city plunges back into lockdown. The state has been sealed off. South Australia is the latest to close its border. Let's go live now to our...
Aero Gamer says, last couple of days have been nice. The next 3 days are forecasted to be rubbish. Looking forward to being stuck at home. I mean, yeah, I know it's winter as well. It's not... There's always been a rivalry between Sydney and New South Wales, Sydney and Melbourne, so I'm going to continue that rivalry. You gave us the COVID, man. Take it back. I'm joking. Of course I'm joking.
Team of reporters. Nathan Templeton is in Melbourne. Nathan, a final night out for thousands last night.
Yeah, it was, Sam, but depressingly this morning, the CBD's got that ghost town feeling back once again. The trams here.
Ghost town? That looks like Perth on a Friday night. There's a tram going past. And I lived in Perth in '96, and that would be what it looked like on a Friday night.
Completely empty, but last night was that final taste of freedom for Melburnians, and a lot of people made the most of it. They went to their favourite bars and restaurants for a drink and a meal, but also to support their favourite local businesses, because for the next 6 weeks they're going to have to go back to either closing or takeaway only. That's because
aren't we going to see cases rising because of this last night out crap?
We can't leave home unless we've got a valid reason. We also can't leave Melbourne city limits.
Wow, dude. Sorry, hang on.
Leave home unless we've got a valid reason.
Aside from the Carlton draft on that set of beer taps, I don't recognise any of those beers. That's weird. I like beer. I don't recognise any aside from the Carlton draft on the right-hand side. Am I out of touch?
We also can't leave Melbourne city limits without a valid reason as well, and this is a massive police operation that is underway this morning, blocking people from going out to those regional areas. They've got booze bus type setups in place, supported by Highway Patrol, Mounted Branch, Public Order Response.
Sunday might be getting AFL Grand Final. Sydney.
If you don't have a reason to leave, you'll be turned back around. If someone breaches those guidelines and leaves when they shouldn't, you'll receive an infringement, $1,652.
How did they come up with that figure? Tim, you see that? Even Benon admits to the Sydney-Melbourne rivalry. It's a scam to keep us out of New South Wales. Yeah. You guys can have your Great Ocean Road. Keep it.
And to help police with their massive task, around 260 ADF personnel are also heading to Melbourne, Sam.
Okay, David,
might be craft beers on tap? Yeah, probably is. We got craft beers here.
David, thousands of residents have been tested there.
Good morning, Sam. Yes, officials have now completed that testing of these 3,000 residents that have been holed up inside these 9 towers across Melbourne's inner north since Saturday afternoon. It was a pretty laborious process, this testing process. Those teams, they have gone literally door to door, floor to floor, taking those swabs and those tests from all of these
big job,
people
right?
here.
Big
the good
job.
news is those tests have now been fast-tracked, and we are expecting them later today. But spare a thought for these people. It has been a long time. They have been locked inside these homes. Tensions have been fraying, but the government is saying that as soon as they can get their hands on these results, they'll have a much better handle of this situation.
Buff says, in Germany, we have a really comprehensive data on how the virus spreads. In some cities, we can track specific cases to certain public events on websites. I'd like to see this in other countries too. Unfortunately, they will never do that here because it would have come from the riots, the protests surrounding the recent riots. Yeah, but they won't make that public. No, we haven't seen any news reports explaining where this second wave came from, right? Because they don't want to say that. They don't want to report that.
5 days was the time that we set ourselves. Whether we can deliver that exactly to the hour, we'll have to wait and see. I again say to every single resident in those towers, you will be under these restrictions for not a moment longer than you need to be.
Premier Andrews speaking there, a fairly anxious wait ahead for these residents. But while we do await on those results, news this morning that small COVID clusters have been breaking out at some of Melbourne's nursing homes and hospitals. That is certainly cause for concern for health authorities here, Sam.
I Am Zozo says, you still need a permit to get into Queensland, so are the borders really open? Yeah, I'm not sure about Queensland border, dude. I mean, Queensland is kind of, in terms of corona, Queensland has already taken a pretty strict approach. They did shut their borders down in phase 1 as well. But obviously the reports of this outbreak in Victoria is why the Victorian border shut. But
it sure is. Okay, Tegan Doling is at the Victorian border. She's in Wodonga, I should say, this morning. Tegan, there were lengthy delays there yesterday. How's it looking this morning?
It's a much smoother drive into Albury this morning, Sam. No delays this morning, unlike yesterday where we saw those huge lines stretching for kilometres and even backing out onto the Hume Highway.
Just to put this in perspective, folks, this is 2 lanes on a arterial motorway, bumper to bumper, on one day out of 100 years when the border's been closed. That there, go to LA, that's 5 lanes every single day on the 101. Every single day, nearly all day. So we're complaining about this, and that's what Californians have to deal with every single day on their main highway, right? We need to get Elon Musk to bore some tunnels for us.
There's nothing like that, luckily, this morning. Yesterday, we saw around 50,000 cars head into New South Wales despite this border lockdown. 2 were turned away and 1 man was actually arrested, a 34-year-old from Barnawatha. He tried to get into New South Wales with his family at around 11 a.m. He didn't have a permit and he didn't have a good reason to be entering into New South Wales. So he was arrested, and we've since found out he's actually been charged. So he's going to face the Albury local court today on some pretty serious charges. Now, yesterday was deemed a very successful first day border lockdown between New South Wales and Victoria. We know 650 police officers are already up here and more military are on the way. But as we saw yesterday, Sam, very serious penalties for anyone who tries to cross illegally.
Now, Andrew and Nick,
I wonder what law he broke. I mean, obviously not having a valid reason, sure, but there would have been plenty of people that didn't have valid reasons that then got turned around and went back. But what, he argued and therefore he broke a law for arguing?
Nicholas is at Border Town in South Australia. Andrew, there's been a midnight rush at that border as hundreds flee Victoria.
Yes, that's right, Sam. South Australia is now officially a no-go zone for Victorians, and we were here at 12 a.m. when the new rules kicked in, and there certainly were some anxious drivers who made it to the checkpoint with just minutes to spare. But that was nothing.
Look at that border between South Australia and Victoria. I've driven through that border. It's very, very strange. Very strange. That's where you got to dump all your fruit as well. Chad, the traffic looks like the I-5 southbound into LA on any given weekday morning. That's great news. As soon as you know where the virus is spread, you can take more efficient precautions. Yeah.
Compared to the huge lineups we saw in the hours prior to the cutoff, with the line stretching down the Dukes Highway. In part, that was due to delays processing online applications for cross-border travel, with some 24,000 people applying. Since midnight, police say it's been fairly quiet here except for some freight trucks. They say so far they haven't had to turn any drivers back just for being Victorian, Sam.
Tim says, knowing our state government, they are most likely not putting crucial information into translated publications for non-English speaking people. They also fail to use Buff. Sadly, simply boring tunnels won't help. Just look at how adding more lanes doesn't help traffic a bit. You either need less people or better public transport. I mean, public transport should be free, I believe. That's my thoughts, but
Okay,
I agree with you.
Thank you to all of you. We'll check in soon. Here's Koshi.
Now, as the situation in Victoria worsens, changes could be made in New South Wales to crowd limits and border controls. For more, I'm joined by 7 News reporter Amber Hadler in Sydney. Amber, the Premier is expected to really tighten the lid on restrictions in New South Wales today, isn't she?
Good morning, Koshi. Yes, that's right. These changes have been described as minor tweaks to existing health orders, but as you say, they are expected to target crowd gatherings and also cafes and restaurants. The Premier has said she is concerned by the lack of compliance within the hospitality industry, saying that even a basic thing like sharing a salt and pepper shaker presents a risk to everybody, and there just aren't enough venues doing the right thing. We're expecting more details on these new changes later today, but we're told they could include fines for businesses worth up to $55,000.
I don't want to see the good work we've done in New South Wales undone, and I issue a warning that if the government has to take further action, we will.
Now, we know that border between Victoria and New South Wales has been closed, but plans are now being considered to effectively shift that border north if there are any outbreaks in those border towns. This would see places like Albury effectively become part of Victoria. The news has really upset local leaders as residents there would be forced to apply for a permit to enter their own state, Koshi.
Okay, all right.
That's crazy. That won't happen. That won't happen. They won't do that. That can't happen. Folks, back up in the chit chat. This looks like Europe 2 months ago, to be honest, or 3, yeah. Then on, Tim says, one police roadblock on the Hume was over 3 kilometres long last night. It was shut down. It was holding up traffic too long. Yeah, a 3 kilometre. Like I said, I mean, we're making a big deal of it because it's kind of fresh for us. It's different for us, but in the terms, like if you in global terms, not really anything to be too worried about. A little bit of traffic, right? I mean, yeah. I mean, we don't know it that way, but that's what it is globally. That's all I'm trying to compare, because this is a global pandemic. I think a little bit of traffic doesn't really cause too much of a concern, really, considering people sit in traffic all day, every day, in places like LA. Folks, that's all I have for the stream today. I mean, unless you have more comments you want to make, is everybody okay if we kind of wrap this up? I mean, we're up to speed with what's going on. I want to keep tabs on it. I want to keep watching this because obviously I live in New South Wales and I want to see how the changes kind of affect me and what they are. But at this point, I mean, I'm not passing salt and pepper shakers around, so I feel like I'm okay. There's a really good break happening right now. The left point break is on fire. I went out before and had a look. It's on fire. There's heaps of dudes surfing. I'm going to go and set up my streaming from Steve and do a trial run today, get that ready for the weekend. Does anybody have anything that they further want to add to this discussion, or are we okay to wrap things up? I want to keep this open for people. If you want to continue discussing, I'll sit here and have a chat with you. But if you feel like we've got to that point where we've covered things and we're good to wrap it up, I'll wait for the chat to respond before I do that. Tim says the government actually asked people not to crowd in public transport to minimize possible infection. Yeah, that's true. They did that, didn't they? They said try not to if you don't need to go anywhere, don't use public transport. Try to stay away from people. But again, if they just said wear masks, if it was mandatory to wear a mask, you could then take public transport as long as you're wearing the mask, right? Tim says, Buff says, I was talking in general about without COVID. In my country, public transport was strictly impaired, less buses and trains. Yeah. Stuck in traffic makes it easier to watch YouTube. You're not allowed to have a VDU on though, Tim. You're not allowed to have a visual display unit on a vehicle unless it's in your dash. So I don't know what kind of car you have that has a YouTube in your dash, but just be careful because I've done all the research from my streaming from Steve Ann. My laptop can be on the seat, but it can't be on. That'll be a black screen, right? Off. That'll be a black mirror. So jealous of your break. The left-hand point break up here is, and I looked at it this morning. I was like, wow. I'm not going to surf until I get my padded rib support, but it's good. Go on surf and get all the tech ready. There you go. I'd feel guilty if I was keeping you from the surf. I won't go surfing today, but I will be doing some tech stuff. I'm looking forward to coming up with a 5 to 10 minute video for the stream. Yeah, that's what I got to go and do. I got to go and record the ocean. Buff, I would just say learn from countries that manage to take control, even if it's very hard for a few weeks. That's a very good point, Buff. And all countries should be looking to those that, I mean, Italy, right? We don't hear about Italy anymore. Italy was like the big country that everyone was talking about, and we don't hear about it at all. I haven't heard the word Italy and COVID-19 for a long time. It's not a visual display unit, it's an iPad. Be careful, Tim, be careful. So folks, that I guess is going to wrap the stream up. Thank you for all your comments. Oh, see, Fulgrim 100, you just came into the stream, dude. We're just wrapping things up, man. Maybe you'll swing by another time. Sorry, Fulgrim. I can hear my outro music rolling. I guess I'll see you all tomorrow on the stream where we're going to open up a special bottle of Jack. Heck yeah, I cannot wait. See you then. That's nice water. Very nice. Well, this goes a bit longer than I thought. Thought it'd be...